Well, ahead of the new national policy standards for freshwater that have recently come into play on the 3rd of September, are our farmers ready? For those in the primary sector will know that this isn't something new for our farmers, and many companies have been working on this for some time. One of them is Synlait. Joining us now is National Milk Supply Manager David Williams. Welcome to the program, David. Synlait is certainly leading the pack. It has been for some time when it comes to its suppliers' farm environment plans. The first question is, do your current farm environment plans match up with these new standards?
So, Sarah, we believe in terms of the actual what needs to be in a farm environment plan, they do. But there are certainly changes coming within the essential freshwater that means we'd have to adjust some of the standards and the things that are required in there.
What are some of those things that have sort of caught you out that you weren't expecting, perhaps?
Well, I guess are things such as the maximum of 190 kilograms of urea per year, some of the winter grazing requirements, and a few other things as well.
So how will Synlait work? And particularly, let's talk about first your top farmers. They're particularly, I understand 50% of Synlait at least are on the Lead with Pride program. How will what's their sort of attitudes towards these changes? Are they embracing them, or is it still just going to be too hard?
So they've come a long way already. So they've already, we've had this program in place for a long time, and what they have embraced is really identifying their environmental risks on their farm, and then we've worked with them so that they understand those really well, and they've come up with a plan to mitigate them the best they can, and continue to do that in the future, and in a way that it can be easily seen from the outside that that's been done. So they've come in a really long way. So in some ways, these changes are just a little step, although some of them are definitely going to be bit more challenging, such for people that already have a farm environment plan in place, I would suggest.
So let's work through some of those key things, in particular winter grazing and the pugging depths. Do you believe there is an ability to amend farm management systems and feeding out to be able to accommodate?
So that area is a little bit confused at the moment because there's been some changes around it, and it's still up for debate. Some of those things, I think it's fair to say, Sarah. But I think within the current farm environment plans farmers have got, they are already trying to address and identify those risks. Whatever comes into play, we'll have to work with. But I think we're already a long way towards it.
Looking internationally, how do Synlait's farm environment plans stack up in comparison to other milk supplying countries? Sorry.
I think what we do stacks up really well. I guess one of the unique things about Lead with Pride is that it also covers people employment on farm as well, and other social areas, and it also covers animal welfare as well. So in many ways, covering that people area makes it quite unique. And the other aspect of it that certainly takes the time is that part of the program is not just coming up with your plan. You actually have to document your plan, which kind of takes farmers through a process where they have to really think about the very best way to meet the best practice requirements that we have within Lead with Pride, which is can be quite a long and hard process for farmers, but the outcome is really good because they come out the other end feeling like they're doing the best that they can do, and feeling like they're ready to or already are meeting or ready to meet some more of these requirements as they come along.
What is Synlait doing to support its suppliers in being able to create farm environment plans and make it easier and less costly?
So we provide an enormous amount of support that is free of charge for farmers to create the farm environment plans, which are essentially part of Lead with Pride for us. That's how it works. So we have 5 area managers across the country who a big part of their role is taking farmers through the Lead with Pride certification process and also keeping them there. So once they've met those standards, and as well as that, we have 3 environment advisors across the country as well. So that's about 1 to 100 farms, and those guys are kept very busy, keeping ahead of what these requirements are, and also finding out what the best, what some of the best ways are to mitigate them, so they can help farmers create the best plan for their individual farm. So they can manage those environmental risks.
Through the consultation process on the new environmental standards for freshwater, was Synlait sort of at the table, and do you feel that you were heard by this government in ways that amendments could be made to accommodate the great work that you have been doing for many, many years?
Yeah, we were involved very much in conjunction with Dairy NZ and other dairy companies as well, and obviously with other groups as well. And I think most of us were really on the same page with this. And for example, the dairy industry is very supportive of farm environment plans. Every farm having a farm environment plan. It's something we can't just flick a switch and do instantly, but it's certainly something that we would like to see. And I guess in terms of being heard, I think we do feel like we were heard at the other end of the process. Still some challenging things in there. I mean, really to us, the most of the weight should go. And the way forward is farm environment plans. When you have someone trained working with a farm who's willing, identifying those environmental risks for their specific farm, and then just getting stuck in and addressing those, to us is actually the number one way to get on top of these things. Because if you're doing that, then you're doing the very best you can to keep your nutrients where they need to be on your farm. And yeah.
Every farm is very individual, and of course there's a lot of learnings that continuously evolve, and so does science and research. What are you doing to extend the knowledge from farmers onto the wider supplier group as those types of sort of findings and success stories are found?
Yeah. Well, we often say, I mean, we do a lot of extension work and talk to a lot of people, but actually the best ideas come from farmers themselves. So it's always been the way in the industry we're in. Give farmers a problem and they'll find a solution. So a lot of what my guys are doing are gathering up that really good learnings that other farms have done, and then actually passing it on in an easy way to other farmers.
Now, of course, this has been...
I think that's probably the best way to explain that.
Yeah, absolutely. This is consumer-led, isn't it? And I mean, Synlait are certainly doing this for a reason, that consumers are demanding it. And as you said, there's a lot of social sides to the Lead with Pride program. How important is it that you're ahead of the game, listening on the ground to what other things might continue to emerge in the likes of, say, animal welfare as well?
So Lead with Pride is very much an evolving program, and we change it every year in consultation with farmers, and usually the things that are changed are things that they're expecting, because they're seeing them in the media, and this next thing coming up, and it's expected. The odd time there is something that a specific customer does want, where we will need to make that change, but it is certainly the customer is a big part of this, but it's also about, for us, when we started, a lot of it was about the community we live in as well, and showing the community that we live in that farmers are doing the best they can. That was probably one of our biggest drivers, and they're kind of aligned. If you get community on board with what you're doing, you're probably going to be heading in the same direction as what customers and consumers expect.
And of course, things do take time to transition. So as what I was trying to lead to with trends, how to bring your farmers along this journey, that these may be the new things coming forward. Last night we really concentrated with Steve Carden from Palmu and Malcolm Ellis with the demand at LIC for sex semen in terms of this drive to reduce bobby calves. Is Synlait getting involved in that particular trend?
So one of the ways that we try and look at these trends is actually create a self-assessment for farmers to go through. So we make completing the self-assessment part of the program, but that's all they have to do. They just have to complete it, and so that's what we've done with that bobby calf area. Is we ask farmers to complete a self-assessment every year. So quite a thorough process where they look at, could I actually rear some more calves? What would be the impact on my business in terms of people, my facilities, and profitability? And can I actually just rear a few more calves? And obviously thrown into those conversations are some of the some of that technology like sex semen and good, really good bull semen that is now available comes into that conversation, and what we've found is that there's no compulsion there. Farmers they can still continue to do what they're doing, but what we've found is a lot of farmers have, because they've had to think it through, they've actually gone, yeah, actually we can do this and we can do it profitably in many cases as well. So that's the way that we sort of approach those trends that we can see coming. But there's not right now. There isn't enough to say, right, we can't have any more bobby calves, for example, and we can't see that in the immediate future. But it does mean that we've started that discussion and we've started along that pathway, because it is the amount of calves that we generate and don't add value to is a bit of a risk to our industry.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, I'm just thinking around the DIRA changes, which don't directly affect Synlait as much, but do you believe that we have enough mechanisms in place to pull the bottom up with us?
So, yeah, it was great to see those changes within DIRA. So Fonterra can change will refuse people because they don't meet their terms of supply. I think, and so that was great to see, but our thought has always been that rather than focusing a lot of time at the bottom end, is pull the top end up further. That's really what we've been trying to do with Lead with Pride, and I think we're successfully seeing that with the big, the big group in the middle are moving that way, and we are definitely starting to see the bottom come up as well. I guess that the lower end performers, the best way to get them to perform is their neighbour tells them that actually this is really good for you, it will be good for you. So coming directly from a farmer is far better than us ever telling them that it's good for them. So that's been our approach, is try and work with the top end.
Absolutely, and I'm sure there are rural service professionals around them as well, and if it's good on a triple bottom line, then of course it's good for everyone.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us on Ceres Country. David Williams is the National Milk Supply Manager for Synlait, talking there as we're evolving to ensure the industry. Are we up and ready for these new national policy standards, or are they still worth fighting around the detail?
This is Ceres Country.